Hello, it's Kiana, and welcome back to another episode of I'll Do It Tomorrow. The first thing I want to say before we go any further in this video, last week before the video started, I literally lost a nail. And as you can probably see, this is the side. I've been trying to rip these nails off, and they are just, these three on this hand and these two on this hand are just, I guess they're just bonded to me forever. I've been trying to get them off, and I do not have a high pain tolerance. If I feel like something's starting to hurt, I just stop, and I don't care how ridiculous I look. So this one's starting to come off. I just really need to soak them and just get them the heck off. Anyway, I just wanted to get that out of the way. I wear my hair down, but I just didn't feel like dealing with it today. I just didn't have the energy to deal with trying to style my curls. So it's in a braid. And it looks a little funky. That's what we're rocking with today. So anyway, welcome back to another episode of I'll Do It Tomorrow. How are we enjoying these? Are we liking these? If you're liking these videos, make sure you give them thumbs up and let me know what things I should talk about. I literally said I'm going to be looking down on my microphone because last week the microphone kept dying and I had to keep cutting clips out where it was dying and refilming. It was awful. So now I'm self-conscious. So I'm sorry if I have to keep looking at the mic to see if the light is off or red. What was I saying before that? Oh my gosh, my ADHD is awful. But yeah, if you're liking these videos and this concept, then let me know, please. It's easier for me to just kind of sit on here and talk and be myself versus vlog, because vlogging to me just feels like a lot of pressure. This is a lot of pressure too, but vlogging to me is just more pressure because I feel like, why are you picking up the camera if there's nothing interesting to show or say? It's just me talking. I can literally just do this instead of vlog. So this is what I'm doing for now for long form content on my channel / my concert diaries. My next concert is this month. I'm excited, so stay tuned for that. And that I am filming. I know I go on these trips and do things and say I'm going to film them and I don't, but my concert videos will be filmed. We're on episode 7. Now, when I first started doing this concept, the podcast style, I wanted my vibe. I wanted to wait till it was nighttime and I could use cool lighting, and the lighting just works better when it's dark out versus clashing with the natural light and my lighting. But it's starting to become summer and it's dark. It's lighter, longer, and I'm filming this tonight on a weeknight, and I like to go to bed around 9:30, 10, and the sun is like barely going down right now. So we have to just deal with what we got. I'm sorry. Anyway, episode 7. So first thing we always do, if you're new and you don't know, the first thing we do our little housekeeping things, and the first thing we do every week is our song of the week. I think this might be everybody's song of the week this week, but my song of the week is Burning Blue by Mariah the Scientist. Now, I'm not going to lie. I've never really seriously listened to Mariah the Scientist. I've listened to songs where she's had features on them. There's a Chris Brown song that's really good that she's in, and I love that song. I think it's I Don't Give a F. That's a good song. I love that song. I love her voice. I've always heard her music like in passing. Never had a problem with it. I just never like indulged in it myself. But this was a sound trending on TikTok forever. I kept seeing videos of people circulating like, drop this song, and my sister's obsessed with her. So she's been talking about the song. So when the song dropped, of course I listened to it, and it is definitely a good song. So Burning Blue by Mariah the Scientist is the song of the week. And then another thing we always do every week, paying homage to the title of this video, something you're saving for tomorrow, something you're focused on today. So I explain this every video, and I'm sorry if you're tired of me repeating it, but I never know when this is someone's first video. But basically, the reason I titled my podcast I'll Do It Tomorrow, because that is my mindset on a daily, and it just describes me. You could say I'm a procrastinator. Some people might call it laziness, but there are some things that I just sort through in my mind and I'll say that really can wait till tomorrow. This needs to be done today. So that's why we do this every week. What really needs to be done today, and what can you really focus on tomorrow? And I always say, if it's a mental thing, a physical thing, a personal thing, what really should be done today and what can really just be set aside? It doesn't need to take priority today. It can be priority tomorrow. And tomorrow doesn't have to literally mean tomorrow. It just means in your near future. So what I'm focusing on, I guess it doesn't matter which one I share first, what I'm focusing on today or tomorrow. But what I'm saving for tomorrow is putting my laundry away. Like, quite literally, tomorrow's Friday, and I'm going to put all my laundry away. I have done so many loads of laundry, and I do not have a washer and dryer, so I go to my mom's or my dad's or wherever I can go. And then it just sits in my basket, and I dig through my basket, and I have like 4 baskets that need to be put away. I've just been sifting through them. The clothes are wrinkled. I've been just very lazy when it comes to putting the laundry away lately. And so I need to just put all my laundry away tomorrow. So that's what I'm saving for tomorrow. Today, I'm focused on resting. I have just not been sleeping well. I've been staying up all hours of the night. I've just been going, and just saying, who cares? But I worked really hard to get myself on a sleep schedule to where I wasn't miserable in the morning and all day at work. I've been kind of letting myself slip. So resting is what I'm focusing on today. That is, I'm trying to make sure I stay on my sleep schedule. I haven't gotten too far off of it, but I'm definitely starting to get a little off the path. So I'm focusing on my sleep schedule today. Make sure you comment below what you're saving for tomorrow or what you're focusing on today. So there are two main things I want to talk about in today's video. The topic for today is really an umbrella of mental health, mental illness, taking care of yourself, self-care. So May is a lot of things. Whatever May is for you, then you should focus on that for yourself, for your family, whatever it means to you. May has so many different things in it. Mother's Day, it's brain tumor or brain cancer awareness month. It's cystic fibrosis awareness month, and it's mental health awareness month. If there's anything else in the month that I did not mention that is important to you, then you can share with class, or make sure you just focus on it yourself. The brain cancer one does not relate to me straightforward, but cancer in itself does relate to me and my family straightforward. But the two things I typically focus on in May for me personally are cystic fibrosis awareness month and mental health awareness month. I had two best friends pass away from the illness cystic fibrosis. I met them in the 6th grade. We were best friends all through middle school, all through high school, until their unfortunate passing, one in 2019 and one in 2020. They were twin sisters, my bestest friends in the whole world, and life has definitely been awful without them. But they are at peace now. They're breathing easy, is the saying for people who pass with, I think, any lung disease, which CF is not just a lung disease. It affects literally your entire organ system, but we'll get into that. But I want to focus today on mental health, and every week that I film and post in May, I will share a fact about CF because it's really rare. Not a lot of people know what CF is. Not a lot of people realize that it's very deadly. Um, Although it's starting to become a little more treatable and things like that, but it is one of the illnesses that does not get government funding, so they really rely on fundraisers and people spreading the word. So I am making shorts, not every day this month. I can't put that much pressure on myself, but throughout the month, I'll have shorts that are facts about CF. So make sure you share those and help get the word out for this illness, because I do not suffer from CF, but like I said, I had two best friends who suffered from it, and there are tons of other CF warriors out there that need your help to help their quality of life, help more research go into the illness, to hope for one day there be a cure. So make sure you're sharing those shorts, liking them, engaging with them so they go into the algorithm so people can learn about cystic fibrosis. All right, let's get into the video. My main topic today is mental health with a sprinkle of, that just made me really sad because my friend's YouTube channel was the Salt Sisters, and there's a sprinkle and a little salt on your day. That just made me like, oh my gosh. My main topic today is mental health and self-care with a sprinkle of CF fact. So what I want to talk about today is something that I can relate to strongly and I think should be talked about more. I also want to put a disclaimer. I'm going to be speaking off of my own personal experiences, and I'm not speaking on fact and things that you should just take my word for the wind and don't just use it as your reference. If you're dealing with mental illness and you're struggling and you're deeply in need of somebody who can give you the proper care, then you should seek that appropriate care, not social media, not your friends, people who are qualified to help you. If you're like really needing help, not just advice and not just a shoulder to lean on, but somebody who can really help you, then you need to seek that type of care. I am not that. I am just here to speak on my experiences, things that helped me, things that I recommend other people to try. Sometimes it might not work. Sometimes you have to just find things that work for you. However, I'm just here to lend my advice on my experiences. All right. But taking care of yourself is really important. And I think there are people out there that make that a staple for their day to make sure that they take care of themselves. And there are people out there who really fail to take care of themselves. And either way, the cookie crumbles. It's not a bad thing necessarily. It just depends your line of work, if you have children, if you're a caregiver to a family member, just if you have health issues yourself, just whatever it is, sometimes we fail to take care of ourselves. Like I said, you have kids. Most of the time, if you're a good parent, all of your energy is going into making sure your kids are taken care of, fed, bathed, taken to whatever activity they're doing, seeing their family members. If you're co-parenting, all that stuff, there's a lot of things that go into that. And sometimes you might forget to take care of yourself, neglect yourself. If you're a caregiver, and I'm going to speak for me in this instance, my job, I am a caregiver. And sometimes I forget that I deserve to have days off, that I deserve to, experience life and not just make everybody else's life better that I take care of, but also make sure my life is of quality. Because, one of the things I don't really like when I hear people say these things, especially older generations, when they look at younger people and say, oh, well, you're too young to be feeling stressed, or you're too young to be worried about this, or you're too young, you've got your whole life to live. In a way, they have a point, but they also don't have a point because we don't have our whole life to live because none of us know when our time is up. And I have this mindset, and now I don't know if this is healthy, okay? But I have this mindset of if I died today, would I be happy with my life? And it's really deep and it's almost a little morbid, I think, but this is what motivates me to make sure that I'm living life to the fullest. I'm making decisions that I'm proud of, and I'm being a person that I would want another person to be, if that makes sense. Now, I'm not saying I'm perfect at all because I'm not. Nobody is. However, these are the things I tell myself. If something were to happen to me today, would I be happy with the life I leave behind? Would I want people to stand up and say, oh, she lived her life to the fullest? Or would people stand up and go, oh, she was miserable all the time? I just think about these things. Probably just my intrusive thoughts, but these are things I tell myself. Would I be happy with my life if something happened to me today? Typically, my answer is no, because I feel like you should always want more for yourself. Don't put a ton of pressure on yourself. Do what you can. Live in the moment, but also work towards your future. It's hard, and sometimes you can put a lot of pressure on yourself, but I think it's important to have experiences in life. I am going to be 27 this year in exactly a month from today. And one of my biggest things I've been drilling into myself this year specifically is I don't want to go into my 30s and say my 20s were awful. I don't want to go into my 40s and say my 30s were awful. When you hit those milestone ages, I think a lot of people start to have like crash outs. And I'm kind of like low key starting to have one already, and I'm not even 30 yet. I just look back at some of my 20s and I go, people say these are supposed to be your best years, but I've honestly had some of my worst years in my 20s. And so I've decided to change that narrative. And I'm like, you know what? And this is going to sound awful, but I want you to bear with me. If there's an experience that I am going to be able to have and I might have to call off work for, or take off of work for, or make somebody upset so I can go have an experience, I'm going to do it. I'm not going to work so I can survive. That's just not going to be me. And this is just my mindset. If you have a different mindset, there is nothing wrong with that. But I think it is important in life to have experiences. I mean, that's the whole point. I mean, we're not just here to be robots to make money to pay bills. However, that's what we do. We kind of have to do that to make sure we're not homeless or couch surfing. And sometimes that's okay. You have to do what you got to do until you're able to provide for yourself. Sometimes you just have to do that. But I have this mindset where if my bills are paid, yes, I should probably put some money back. But sometimes I tell myself, You can't get an experience back. If an experience passes you, there's not always going to be a chance for you to have that experience again. You don't know what tomorrow will hold. You don't know what the future holds. So I think it's really important to just have the experience. Sometimes it's okay to splurge on yourself. Sometimes it's okay to take that risk, go to that concert, book that flight, take the trip, go out with your friends and risk, missing a bill or something. Now, this is going to probably be really, really controversial. I'm not encouraging anybody to just be like, blow your bills to the wind and blow all your money on going out and hanging out. No. But every so often, if you've got to, skip a payment on something and work your butt off when you get back from the experience to make sure you make the payment, I don't see anything wrong with that because you had an experience. You can't get the experience back. And life is just so much more worth it when you can enjoy it versus being miserable working all the time. Not every job has that leisure where you can just, take days off or take a vacation or, you know, whatever it might be. But if you have the opportunities, if you are given the opportunity to have an experience and there might be a negative consequence afterwards. Now, if it's not anything super crazy negative, definitely go for it. I have so many things coming up this summer, and although it stresses me out thinking about it, I just know it's going to be worth it. So sometimes the experience is just more worth it than stressing about a job or other people that, don't always deserve your attention anyway. And to me, it's really hard for me because I feel guilt a lot when I schedule days off of work or if I call off work because something is going on in my personal life. I'll feel really guilty. But I'll just tell you what, sometimes it's okay to feel that way. It's if you do feel guilty for it, that's okay. But don't feel guilty. If you have something personal going on in your life and you have to call out of work, you have to take some days off or you just can't go in that day, whether it's mental, personal, whatever it is, you don't owe anyone an explanation. And I really hate that about society is and the job force is you have to like provide like a summary and an 8-page essay on why you're not coming into work. I don't owe you an explanation. If something's going on in my personal life or if I just need a mental health day, it's much better for me to stay home than to be at work distracted, especially if you're working in a job that could be dangerous for you to be distracted or, if you're caring for other people and it's dangerous for them to be around you if you're distracted. You might feel guilt, but if you need to take off work and if you're able to and you need a day, take the day. Like seriously, do it. I I remember the first time I ever called off of a job, I felt like the worst employee that ever walked the earth. Worked at the job for half a year before ever even calling off. Might have been a whole year. Like didn't wouldn't ever thought about calling off. It was just not in my nature. But I remember being super deathly ill and I shouldn't have been at work because I've always worked in the healthcare realm and you should never go to work and if you're in healthcare around patients, if you're even the slightest bit sick. I don't care what anybody says. But anyway, I felt so guilty. I just felt so guilty not being there. And I still feel guilty sometimes if I have to call out of work, but I usually don't call off unless there is like a legit reason, like I literally can't get there, or if I'm sick. Sometimes it's literally a mental health day. And I really wish that was normalized more in the job force. I can't call into work and say, I won't be in today. I'm having a mental health day. They'll literally think I'm crazy. And that's ridiculous because if I call in and say I have a fever, it's fine because there's still a lot of stigma around mental health and a lot of people who still think it's fake and people who just don't understand it. And it just is what it is. I mean, and it's really not is what it is. It needs to be addressed more, but whatever. So yeah, have experiences. Take the trip, book the flight, go out with your friends, have experiences, live your life. Your life should not revolve around your job, and it definitely shouldn't revolve around the people, especially if there's people in your life that are just getting everything out of your cup and you're getting like drip out of their cup. No. Definitely screw them. And that goes into a whole other thing for a whole other video. Dealing with people who you pour into and they don't pour anything back, that's a whole different situation. But when it comes to living life, just live your life. If it's going to make you happy to go to a concert, to go to a festival, to just do something that's going to make you happy, a freaking art show, a car show, whatever it is, and you just need that day, you shouldn't feel guilty. You should take that day. And like I said, if you have to call off work, if you have to put in days off, don't feel guilty for it. You deserve it. You work hard, you deserve it. Don't make it a habit. Don't make it, like I said, don't make it a habit. Just don't do it all the time. But every once in a blue moon, you know what? Heck yeah. I'm going to go have this experience and I'm not going to feel guilty for whoever has a problem with it. Okay? Basically, essentially, work hard and be a good employee, be a good person in the workforce, no matter what your job is, but allow yourself to also live and have experiences and also have downtime for yourself where you're taking care of yourself too and not just focusing everything into whatever your job is. Okay, so the next part, I just want to share some ways that can help boost your mental health in a positive way. In the healthcare field, they call these, what do they call it? Positive alternatives for like mental health instead of like healthy things to do, not negative things. So like I said, I'm not a professional. So if you do one of these and you're not cured from depression, please do not come on my channel saying that I lied to you. These are just things that have helped me. I know have helped other people, but I also know people who these things don't work for. So everybody's different. Everybody's mind, body reacts different to different things. If there's something out there that you have discovered for yourself that works for you, that's healthy, that's positive, and helps you calm your anxiety, your depression, continue doing that. But if you need some extra ideas or things to try, here are some. So here are some things that I noticed help my mental health when I do these things. One of them, I think first is acknowledging that you're in a depressive episode or you're having anxiety. Recognizing the problem right away so that way you know what exactly you need to do in that moment. So sometimes I think I'm having an anxiety attack or something and really like 10 minutes later my aunt Flo comes to visit and I realize that's just a symptom of being a woman. And then other days I'm like full on just full of anxiety. And my first thing I usually do is think, what have I eaten and what have I drinking that day? Because if you struggle with mental illness, it's very important to watch what you're putting in your body because things can exacerbate your anxiety, like energy drinks, caffeine, sugar, things like that. Um, I used to drink Red Bull like freaking water, like it was going out of style, and it quite literally almost killed me. Like, I'm being so serious. It was like destroying my heart. So I stopped drinking it. However, every once in a while I do have one, but I realized, excuse me, when I drank it, I would have such bad anxiety. I would just be like super jittery and paranoid, like it was a thing that rhymes with rug. I know you have to be careful what you say on the internet these days, but yeah, so just if you notice you're having increasing anxiety that day, the first thing is, what have you been eating? What have you drank that day? And then the next thing is, what can you do to calm yourself down? That's positive and that's healthy. So just eating properly, drinking properly, lots of water, eating foods that are going to be healthy. Now, I'll let you decide what your version of healthy is because everybody has their own idea of health. Fruits, vegetables, protein, whatever your idea of healthy is. Obviously, the next thing is making sure you're getting enough sleep. I think it is just really hard to get enough sleep. I think if you get 8 hours of sleep every night, can you please let me know like what your secret is? Like, I'm actually being so serious because I think the most I get most nights is 5 hours. It is so hard for me to fall asleep, to stay asleep, and it's awful. Like, it literally is. Without a sleep aid and without medication, let me know what you're doing. It really will help your mental health in so many different ways. Because lack of sleep is so dangerous for people who struggle with mental illness. It is like lethal. This is a big one for me, and I think it's really hard, but surround yourself with positive people. And it's hard because sometimes there's people in our life that are just negative Nellies and people that aren't good for us, but we love those people and we want to be around them. But when we're around them, we go home after being around them and your mental battery is drained or like you start thinking weird. I don't know. I realize when I'm around certain people, in the moment I don't realize it, but when I go home after being around them or they leave, I like start to like feel weird and feel off mentally. And I never realized it until someone had once told me, and they're like, you need to stop being around this person because when you're around this person, you like are so like, I don't know how to explain it. And I've noticed it in other people. when they're around certain people that are like negative all the time, they start to become that way. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. When I'm around certain people, the vibe and the energy they give off, I usually become that. And so surrounding yourself with positive people, people who aren't Debbie Downers all the time. Now, I'm not, listen, I struggle with depression and anxiety. Sometimes I am that person that's a Debbie Downer, and somebody probably doesn't want to be around me that day. Okay, that's fine. We're not all going to be smiling and giddy every day. However, there are people that are quite literally constantly always talking about people, always talking bad about people, always talking bad about themselves, just always just so miserable and nasty. And if you're around those type of people, just try to be around them less and surround yourself with people that are just more positive and more beneficial to you. Self affirmations. I think a lot of people don't think this works, but I have found sometimes, and you can do it in the mirror or you could say it in your head, you could write it out, however way it works for you. I have found that if I just read some self affirmations, like if I Google it or find it on Pinterest and say them to myself, I will think about them for like a week. Like, remember, like, you are capable, you are enough, you are successful, you are smart, you are beautiful. Everybody's beautiful in their own special way. Just telling yourself these things over and over again, you will believe it. Let yourself know you are that girl or that boy or that guy. Like, you are the moment and you deserve happiness. Exercise. Exercise is a big one that I don't think a lot of people realize helps mental health, whether that's going to the gym, taking a walk, going for a run, walking your dog, exercising your brain, doing like a word search, a puzzle, playing a video game. I don't know, just exercise is really important. Just body movement in general. If you're, I'm going to say it, if you're just straight up lazy and you're never doing any type of physical activity, it's really going to put a damper on your mental health. Even if you just take a short walk once a week, I think that would be very beneficial. So get up off your couch and go take a walk right now. And then, like kind of how I said before, calming activities for your anxiety. If there's something you know that helps you calm your anxiety, just continue to do that. Coloring, listening to meditation music, meditating, yoga, whatever it is, taking a nap. But make sure it's healthy, okay? When I say calming, I mean healthy calming remedies. Now, there are remedies out there that are recreational, and I mean recreational, I mean things that are safe. I'm not going to say the things. I have friends that do that. That's not my way of coping, but you find what works for you that's positive and healthy, continue to do it. That's what you do. That's what helps you. These are just things that I wanted to share that helped me, and if you wanted to add them to your repertoire of ways to deal with anxiety and depression, good. I'm glad I was able to help. But yeah. So let's go ahead and I'm going to share with you guys the CF fact I want to share for this video. Cystic fibrosis, it's a mouthful, so a lot of people call it CF. It's also been called 65 roses. And also the ribbon for this disease is a purple ribbon, like a darkish purple. So you'll see me using purple a lot this month. I had a bracelet. I'm actually a horrible friend. I made these bracelets for my friends when they passed away. Actually, my sister made them for me. It says Forever Young. That was the last name of my friends who passed away, and they were young when they passed. And then it was a purple bracelet, but I honestly don't know what I did with that bracelet. I made sure it was in a safe space for all these years, and then when I moved to this apartment, I cannot tell you where it is. I'm actually very upset about that and ashamed of myself. However, the CF fact for today is CF has no cure. Like I said before, I think I mentioned this video, there's no government funding. At least to my knowledge, there still isn't. I know when me and the twins used to spread awareness, that was one of our biggest things we would stress because the foundation, the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation, they rely on donations and fundraisers to help get money for research for medications. There is a medication out right now that is helping the quality of life for cystics. And honestly, I just seen like a couple weeks ago, and it made me so happy but kind of sad at the same time. There is new statistics on CF where more CF patients are living into their adulthood than normal, because typically way back when CF was first discovered or being treated or whatever, people were dying as early as like their first year of life. I mean, it's quite brutal disease. And a lot of CF patients don't make it to their adulthood or don't make it very far into adulthood. So the fact that that statistic, I seen that the other day, that more CF patients are living into like far into adulthood, it just made me so happy. Sad at the same time because Alani died at 19 and Aaliyah died at 20. And that is just way too young. And they were way too smart for this world anyway. They would have been so successful. I mean, I'm just talking successful. They would have been very successful. So it makes me sad that there's all these new things coming out after their passing, but I am very happy for the people still living and the people that will be born and diagnosed for the things that they are accomplishing in the CF research world. I hope they continue to research and, certain leadership in the world doesn't take that away because they're breaking ground and things are being made and maybe one day we'll have a cure. You have to be born with cystic fibrosis. It's usually diagnosed within the first year of life. It's not something that your child will be like 15 and all of a sudden they're diagnosed. It's usually diagnosed very, very young, like I said, first year of life, and it is a very high maintenance and brutal illness. And if you want to know more about cystic fibrosis, well, I also plan on leaving a link in today's video. There will be a link to the Twins channel. They had a channel where they talked about CF and their journey with it, on more facts that they can share with you because they actually have the disease. And there's a video, I'll have to try to find it, of a channel that shares kind of like a visual picture thing of what goes on in the body during cystic fibrosis. So I'll try to share both of those in the description. You can go check those videos out so you can get a better idea. And you have to be born with it. Both your parents, and it's just so crazy, all the illnesses out there that both your parents have to be a carrier of it for you to get it, because what are the odds that both your parents are a carrier of a gene of a disease that's as fatal as CF? Like, what are the freaking odds? It's so crazy to me. It's like so wild. Okay, I've done enough yapping. Let's get into the other thing we do every week, which is our quote. I don't think I had a quote last week. Last week was very impromptu. If you want to know what was going on last week, go check out last week's video. Check out the playlist. All the episodes are in the playlist. This will be there too. There are 6 there now. There will be 7 with this one. I forgot to say who said this. Oops. I promise this is not plagiarism. I forgot to give the person their flowers. The quote for this week is, "Just one small positive thought in the morning can change your whole day." I feel like I remember it saying the Dalai Lama said that. But anyway, yeah, this is so true to me. I feel like if you wake up in the morning with a positive attitude, even if you don't feel like you want to have one, if you just wake up, say, it's going to be a good day. We're going to have a good day. We're going to get through this day. You're going to get through the day. You just got to walk yourself through it. You got to talk yourself through it. Give yourself positive vibes, positive energy throughout the whole entire day. And to anybody out there struggling with mental illness, I really hope if you're in a dark time right now that you know that you will make it out. You just have to keep the good fight. You got this. You are strong. You are going to make it to the end of the tunnel. This isn't forever. It's only temporary. The darkness will not last forever. All right, I will see you guys in my next episode. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Let me know in the comments some things you do to cope with mental illness. Also, give me some ideas of things to talk about because I definitely need more ideas. I'm always going to be needing ideas. So if there's something you want me to talk about, let me know. All right, I'm about to go watch the new season of Criminal Minds. So, gotta go. Bye.